juggled the door.
Is it like a love triangle? Prisoner, walk away.
Welcome back, everyone.
For a Time Like This podcast.
I'm Natalie.
And I'm Ashley.
And we're your hosts. So on today, I feel like we're going to be talking a little bit on a serious note. So before we get started, I think we should just go ahead and jump into something funny or what we did this week and something. So
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start off because I just finished it last night, Odyssey. They just finished their album, is it 73?
Yeah.
Or 74?
75?
I can't even remember the number, the latest album.
Yeah.
What did you think? All right, spoiler alert. So if you have not listened to it, maybe skip ahead. I'll put the details in the bottom how far to skip ahead. Because some people don't have the Adventure Odyssey Club, so they'll have to wait for the CD to come out. So
all right, so
how far to skip ahead.
We'll be telling details a little bit here. So I thought it was great. I thought it was very sad. Very happy to hear. I don't know if I even should say it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Very happy to hear Bernard was in it.
Yeah. I think they used the same technology they was using
they used his name. They used like his, you know how they're like, oh, so-and-so was there at the very end. Chris usually gives out written by whoever voice, and then they gave out Dave. I can't remember his last name, but Dave something plays Bernard. And
well, he's dead.
Is he? I didn't know.
Yeah,
me and my husband were like talking about it, and we're like, "Is he dead?" Like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure the actor died like
said his name
10 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
So I think they just used AI for him as well as Eugene.
Yeah.
And I feel like it just brought a bunch of hurt. I'm like, why did y'all bring him back? I loved him. We literally talked about it.
Yes.
He was our favorite character.
Yes. Yep. He was a lot of people's favorites. I feel like even like some of my family, that was their favorite person. So like bringing him back and like hopefully bringing him back over time, but instead of just this album. But
that's why I was so disappointed about Eugene leaving. I know they did because like it's a big thing, but I'm like, if you can have that technology, I understand. Like, okay, before whenever he left to go on, like he lost his mind that part during the Novacom era or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they just like randomly had him come through, and it wasn't oh, he left us.
Yeah.
But this one they're like, he left us.
Yeah. But I don't know. I told my husband I think what they're gonna try to do is probably, because Jules and Buck are ending up together for now. I feel like they'll probably make like a story between them two, and like he'll probably pop in and like maybe voice his opinion on something like that, because he is Buck's dad.
So
technically
like, he's not gone. So
they might so I'm thinking like that's how they're probably going to bring him
but
out.
What about
he won't be a main character.
Yeah, just kind of like periodically listening. I wonder if Buck's going to move back, or if it's just always, you know what I'm saying, or kind of like Katrina did before. Like he's coming for the summer. You know how it's like when him and Katrina were dating, she was coming in from Chicago or wherever she lived. I can't remember. To visit for school and stuff like that. I wonder if he'll come to community college here.
Probably.
I bet you that's what he'll do, bring you back.
And I'm guessing, I'm assuming, I'm going to just kind of guess. I feel like Whit will probably be his like mentor and like watch over him, kind of like, you know.
But once they get to college age, they can stay in dorms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think community colleges actually have dorms, but I know that like Penny, she was in a dorm and stuff like that. Yes, so I wonder if he'd just come live in a dorm.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe that way.
What they'll do.
Probably. And what about Katrina though? Is she just a character gone?
I don't know. This whole album was so sad because not only did like Buck and Connie, or Buck and Jules had like issues there. So did Connie and Eugene. They had like issue there because she's been there with him for so long. I don't know. I mean, it was sad. I don't know. I got a little sad because it was bittersweet at the very, very end. Not only did Connie cry, but so did Whit. Now it made me cry. And like, it made me also think of like how the actors really
because they actually been together for years.
Yeah.
I actually read in a comment is that somebody wrote, I think that doesn't sound like Katie's Lee's fake cry. I think she was actually crying.
Crying, yeah.
So I bet you she probably was the actual person crying instead of acting.
So I mean, I felt for them because I was like, oh man, that's sad, you know. Just. But anyway, all in all, it's a good album. It just ended on a very sad note.
Yeah, because I really didn't think they would go, but they did, so it's fine. But you know what? We've had actors over the years that we like, okay, this is random, but like the Strasbergs.
Yeah.
Remember they were supposed to leave for Chicago, and they ended up staying, and they was like, they literally had one episode more with Mandy, and I never heard her again.
Yeah.
So like we're used to losing characters,
yeah,
maybe not like main characters, but like we've lost Tom Riley, we've lost Bernard. He hasn't been there forever, and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah.
We'll be okay.
Yeah. It's still sad. I
think just because the actor actually died.
Yeah.
Like if it was like, you know how Mitch just kind of left?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, we're like, oh man.
Yeah.
But we know that actor, I'm not sure, I think he's still alive. Yeah. You know, like, he doesn't seem as sad, but like he actually died.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
But anyway, on this episode, we kind of want to bring out some topics about news that's going around. I personally don't listen to the news or just read about the news is what I'm trying to say. I'm not one to always be looking at the news. I usually hear the news from my husband. But
it's just like, did you hear? And I'm like, no,
yeah.
I didn't.
But I mean, I think it's also too like one thing that me and my husband can actually sit down and talk about besides the kids or what we did that day. Just something for us to talk about. But I'm not one to listen to the news. I don't know about you, Ashley, but
I'm hit and miss. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I listen to some podcasts that they're into it a lot, so I kind of hear the top stories just from them. Okay. So that's kind of how I do it. Like the Daily Wire, kind of them. Like a lot of the people that host that.
Yeah,
I kind of like listen to different ones. To that, yeah, so it's kind of like the top, like Candace Owens.
Yeah,
like I listen to her a lot, and so she usually goes on to like the biggest controversies right now. So
for those that don't know about the news, here's some news for you.
Yeah, some of the latest. We're gonna do like national news, like some top ones. We're gonna do local news, so it's just gonna be a mix of things. Our first topic that we're gonna jump into is the presidential election. So it'll be the 2024 presidential election, but everybody's starting to campaign now. Yeah. So they're really starting the campaigns. So some of the big people, naturally, President Joe Biden, he's running. Yeah. Another of the of his party is the Kennedy, the nephew of JF Kennedy. Okay. He's running, he's an older guy. And then on the Democrat part, Trump. And then DeSantis, I think is his name. He's another top one. I'm just thinking of like the major ones. I looked them up, and some of them I was like, I didn't even realize they were. Actually running. Yeah, and they might like closer time you hear more. Yeah. But another one that I think is a new one coming in is, let me see if I can pronounce his name right. Ramaswamy.
What does he represent?
He's a Republican. Okay. Like, so he's running with, like, against Trump in his party. Okay. I think he has a shot. I think he has. He might be like one of those people that's like really great, but no one really votes for him. But I think, my opinion, I think it'd be good.
As far as, I mean, I have not even like, I just know stuff going on about Donald Trump, and then I know for Joe Biden was probably going to try to run again, but I don't think he should.
I don't think he should either.
I think he needs to retire, is what I think. But I don't know. I thought Donald Trump would have a chance again this year, but with all the stuff that's going on.
I think that's why they're doing it. Like, they don't want him again, the opposite party. So I think they're trying their best to, like,
put all this
stuff and try to keep it from him being able to run again and, like, try to make it look as bad as possible and all that kind of stuff. I think that's
what I thought.
Because why would they wait 3 years to really... I mean, they've been doing it. Yeah. But like this year is when they really started pushing a lot of stuff. So.
And I think it's because the election's coming up pretty soon. So, but I really thought that he would probably more than likely run, but with all this stuff going on,
I still think he's still going to run.
You think so?
Yeah, but I'm just wondering if they're trying to keep him from being able to get that position. Okay. So like he's already starting his campaign and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I know he's having rallies and stuff, but like I didn't know how far he would
be able to go.
Yeah.
I think he's just trying to drum up people like, hey, I'm running, possibly running, and all that kind of stuff.
And what's crazy about Donald, though, I don't really know anything about all the other ones that you mentioned except for Donald. But what's crazy about him, they're bringing up so much stuff at the, like, just random stuff that, like, I even mentioned something to my husband the other day about, because I saw it, and it was something about him messing with a girl, or a girl was coming out saying that he did something to her, and just, like, really just random stuff that this was probably way before.
Well, if there was really any merit to it, they would have brought it up during his campaign. Right. Like his presidential thing.
The first year that he actually, So like, which my husband was like, that's probably just, them trying to get stuff on him, which is crazy to me. But anyway.
I think, like, using like the Me Too, which I think that era is actually starting to come to an end. And it sounds a bit crazy, but I think women misused it so much that people are starting, like, a true victim right now is like, people are not listening to them as much because it's like this person that really wasn't a victim, because like people have just straight up lied. People have, like, I know there's a lot of times like people get in a compromising position, and then there's like, oh well, I used this to my advantage in the past, but now that I've got to where I want to be, I don't really want to claim that.
Right.
I think that was some of it too.
Yep.
And that kind of like discredits some of the actual victims. And so now I think, because like for a moment, like no one was even listening to the man's point of view, or like they were like, we don't care. Yeah. We're only listening to their. Yeah. But now I think they're like, okay, let's hear his side of the story now. So I think that part's like starting to kind of move away. Like, okay, well now he has a voice as well. So which I think that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Like everybody should. I mean,
everybody should.
Yeah, because whenever a victim, like people are truly victims, and like regardless whatever that man says, when you hear the whole story, you're like, okay, well she's still a victim. That doesn't make any sense. Right. Whatever you say doesn't make sense. But whenever it's like, well, we agreed, and then like I don't know. Yeah. But I do think it's starting to be like everybody gets a voice now. That just like only listen to the female, not care what the man says. Yeah. I think that's starting to kind of come to an end. Yeah. Which was good. We like men. We're not. Yeah. Not anti-men women. No. So.
I just want to know why women started working.
Why did y'all want that so bad?
Let's get all this topic for a minute, being a little bit funny here.
I am like, okay, when it's like the I can't even say the word.
Feminine
movement. I agree. Like, okay, yeah, we want equal pay for the same job, all these things, but I feel like it's moved away from like equal rights to what, like, okay, we want
what, just
so now it's just like we want to be better.
We want to work like.
But I think the movement in general has like become like we want to be better than men. We don't want to be equal to men. Now. We want to be better, and you're like, okay, that's not even how the Bible designed the situation. Everything we get, like we want to have like equal pay.
We understand like
we want to vote too, kind of things of that nature, but.
And we understand, we understand that some women do have to work. We understand that. But, like, for me, like, I'm over here thinking, like, why did women want to start work? Like, right now, I feel like there is a big, what do you call it? Like, a trend right now going on. Well, I don't know if it's a trend, but, women wanted to start a garden, like, homestead and stuff.
I would like to be on that trend.
We used to have that. Like, who started this working thing? Like, we used to.
That used to be just the way of life.
That used to be the way of life. Yeah. Like, I mean, I feel like if I could just go back for a little while, for a little bit, where like they were growing their own vegetables, doing their own homestead, it'd be nice. But
maybe we wouldn't appreciate it if we was in that era, though.
That's true.
So thankfully, we're on the other side of the era, and we're saying, "Oh, you know what? We did it wrong." Yeah. Because if we was on that, we might be frontiers for the whole life. No, we want to work. Yeah. But now that we know that's not best.
That's true.
So we're lucky.
But anyway, I don't know who started up this women work thing, but I think staying home is pretty nice. And staying home doesn't mean just being lazy, you guys.
I think it's more work. Yeah. I've worked public jobs.
I think it's hard. I think it's hard sometimes.
Because I've worked multiple public jobs, like when I was younger and stuff, before I got married, and Staying at home's way harder.
I think it's just, I don't know. I also saw this one clip of one guy saying, I don't know why women complain about being at home. I just watched my kid. All he did was play, eat, and poop and pee, and just went back to playing.
I wonder if that man did anything extra. I wonder if he cooked or cleaned. I know, did the laundry. I don't think he did anything else.
That went through my head, Ashley, because I was like, listen here, guy. I'm like,
and I wonder if his wife, if he's married, his wife caught him 2 or 3 times saying, hey, you have to do this moment, and you got to jump up and run out the door.
Right.
I wonder if his wife ever did that to him. So there's a lot more to it than.
There is so much. Yes.
You can't compare a whole, staying at home to your hour of watching the kids. Right. It's not the same.
No.
That's not the same.
Listen, I was gone for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes to go pick up the groceries because my husband got home, and I said, oh, I didn't realize you were coming home early. He just popped in the door, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize you were coming home early. I said I had a certain time for pick up my groceries where I can make dinner by the time you get home. Well, he showed up early, so I was like, you know what, go ahead, and I was like, I'm going to go to the store real quick, grab what I need for dinner so I can cook it now, and then we'll eat and then go grab our groceries together.
Yeah.
Well, I go, this is funny, I go, and he's like texting, he's like, when are you going to be back? I was like, I'm almost home. I had to take the long way around home. But he was like, well, the girls just kind of went crazy without you here. I was like, well, it was not even been an hour.
My husband does the same thing. Every time I'm leaving, he's usually like, I usually stretch out. Now, he does usually watch it maybe 15 minutes a day while I take a shower and stuff like that. Yeah. Sometimes they're in there with me. But anyway, long story short, he does have them for periods of time. But anytime I'm gone, because I feel like I'm always nearby. So if one of them use the bathroom, I can take them to the bathroom. Right. So even though he's watching them, I'm also involved.
Yeah.
But anytime I'm gone, he's like, my goodness, how long does it take to run to the grocery store? And you're like, 5 hours if I need to. Taking me some me time.
That's right. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. But anyway, back to our news.
So that's our
little rant for
today. On that one. All right, so for our next part, we're going to talk about, we kind of wanted to quote a Bible verse that's kind of talking about end times. And it says, and great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines, and pestilence, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. So that kind of feels like it's kind of
I feel like right now we're in that fearful sight. We're
everybody's fearful of everything.
Everybody's fearful of a lot of things right now, even especially after COVID. I feel like it got a lot worse.
During COVID, we've definitely seen it. And then earthquakes in diverse places. How many times have you seen an earthquake in everybody's like, well, we wasn't expecting an earthquake here. That's never happened here. Yeah. This earthquake's crazy. We wasn't expecting it. And what we're bringing into fires, which it doesn't actually say fires in that specific scripture, but that's still a fearful sight.
Yeah,
that's scary.
So, as far as we know that things happen around the world. We know that even climate changes and all that stuff can affect the weather and whatnot too. But we wanted to bring out the Maui fire that happened here recently. It's sad, very, very sad for all the people there. Our prayers go out to all the people that are in Maui with all that devastation with the fire and stuff. I have not seen or read or heard on how it started besides climate change.
Yeah, well, I see a read where they said there's a severe surveillance that shows a spark in the grassy area that looked like it started it. So it could have been the grass was so dry and then just one little thing sparked it. It said unchecked grass. I'm not really sure what they mean by that. I don't know if they have to water their grass more. I'm not sure really. Well, if it's already dry and then one thing sparks, then it can really set everything off.
Okay. Well, I know I heard that in this year has been the hottest in Maui in a long time. So I guess
everything was dry.
Everything was dry.
So it was just the perfect storm coming through.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
I think the death toll is 111.
Oh my.
So, but it's small. Yeah. It's an island, so it's once something gets started, it's kind of hard to.
Yeah.
get out. I think they just said like the main guy, emergencies chief, resigned. Okay. But I feel like anytime a disaster happens, I'm not defending or saying anything like people are wrong for having this opinion. Mm-hmm. Everybody criticize what's going on, like this could have been changed, but like a lot of times when you're in that higher position, you have to make decisions instantly, and a lot of times a lot of people don't know everything that's happening at one time. Mm-hmm. So like you might be getting information
from one end
to another, and they're only getting this little area, and a lot of times people are not getting the whole story, like, and they might not be able to release the whole story. Mm-hmm. So like they know a lot of stuff that we don't know, and they can't tell us like, oh, we can't do this because of this would happen, and this could do this. So like people will criticize everything. Mm-hmm. So he resigned, but
that's sad.
Yeah,
that's really
but
sad.
yeah, you can see where people say you can see everybody's point, kind of like you can see where they might not be able to do some stuff.
You also can't drown a fire once it's quickly.
Yeah, once it gets going.
Yeah, once it gets going. So like
kind of harder.
You couldn't like you might have been able to help how it started, but like once it started, it just
it's
went.
spread.
It's really sad. If you've not heard about the Maui fires, go read about it. It's really really sad.
Oh, you mentioned a fun thing or the thing a miracle type thing.
Yes, I actually was reading about what happened around there, and in one article I was reading that I actually listened to read the news this week, you guys. But as far as the Maui fires, there was one article about there was a church that was still standing in the middle of everything else that was burnt and ruined and destroyed. The church was still standing. Which was everybody was calling it a miracle from God. You know, God had His hand on it, and you know, I feel like He probably did because
it's hard for people like to see that or think that whenever you're like, there's so much devastation. Where's God? But He's still in it.
Yeah,
He's in the storm and in the peace and all that stuff. So.
Yes. But anyway, our prayers go out to all the people out in Maui.
All right. So a local news. I don't know if Natalie heard this or not. I read it this morning. So in a town about 25 minutes from here, we had a prisoner walk away. Oh! He was on work release, so he was like working. Oh, you
shouldn't have told me that.
No, and he escaped. So I don't know if you read that news story, but just so you know, I read it this morning. He has not been captured. So we do have. Woo. But it's not comforting, but he's a thief. Oh, okay. Maybe that. They usually don't let murderers just go out and work.
But Ashley.
But anyways, with thieves, you know. But so that kind of brings me to the topic. How do you think about work release programs, like letting people in jail and prison come out and work?
Okay, so for me.
But usually, let me go ahead and clarify. Usually these people are either like writing bad checks, they're
right.
They're not hard criminals that are murderers and rapists and stuff. Yeah. Or they're about to get out anyways. So they're going to be back into society in a short time anyways, but they're not going to be wearing orange jumpsuits. So.
I think it's nice that they're kind of not only getting out, but not out yet, but making them work and kind of letting them do work to actually see what actually work is and, you know, just kind of do that stuff. Like for us around here, there is some inmates that do like pick up trash out on the highway, even around our streets.
We see them a lot doing
garbage picking up.
And like if you like cut your trees or if you have like leaves that come through and pick it up. Yep. So they're doing the.
Now I do feel like they are very hard workers because when COVID happened, not a whole lot of our trash was picked up and our stuff was still sitting out in the yard. Like it was bad. Like I don't know if like anybody working over there was
maybe they just rely a lot on the inmates.
Yeah, because I mean it took forever for like the actual workers that weren't prisoners to come out and get all that stuff, which you know they may not have had a lot of hands on people there, but also think that, you know, we're paying for it. That's part of your job. And I think that you should go out and work and do that, even if it's not the inmates doing it, you know. But when they do work hard. I can tell that.
I think, too, I think it's good for them, too, because, like, if you're just sitting all day long, just think that, I mean, that's not benefit to anything.
It's not
so if
benefit
they're
for
out
anybody.
there working, I think too, like they probably, I don't know, I'm just making an assumption. This just seems like common sense. That if they're not good workers, they're not going to let them go out and work. They're like, we're not going to let you out of prison to do nothing. So I do think they are good workers. So I do think it benefits our town.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Working.
Yeah, our city, even our highways where like the trash and stuff builds up because people like to throw trash out there. I feel like
that's my biggest pet peeve. Yes. I cannot stand that. Gets on my nerves. I understand if you're throwing food.
I feel bad if I throw gum out there.
Like I'll throw like a banana peel or something that's gonna like that's fine with the grass, like it's gonna compose. I'm okay with like food being thrown out occasionally. Like good food like bananas or fruits.
Anyway, when I first saw them, when I moved here and I first saw them, I was like, oh my goodness, they're letting the prisoners come out. I'm like, I'm gonna just stay inside, lock my doors. But my husband reassured me that it was like criminals that probably just like you said wrote a bad check, probably stole something minor, but they got arrested. Just kind of.
I think another thing with not my husband, but I've been told in the past, like people that are just behind on child support and just like stuff that you're getting locked up for, but not.
It's not.
What my husband was in jail for.
Did he pick up trash?
Not paying a ticket. So if you're like behind on your tickets, like you get a ticket for something and you don't pay those fines, they can lock you up. Okay, so I mean, it could be anybody really, I guess.
Well,
I don't know, but
anyway, I think that's good.
Life sentence prisoners out there.
But I do think as far as like, I don't know. Sometimes I get nervous. I guess when you see those orange jumpsuits.
Which you know what? Like probably within less than a year. Those same people are going to be back in society, but they're not going to be marked.
Yeah.
So you're not even going to know. You're going to be standing right next to them in the grocery line and not have a clue. So at least you have an idea.
Another local news that I've seen on there was a mom being arrested for negligence of her 3-month-old, 2-month-old baby, which is when I hear about mothers neglecting their babies or like just really abusing or anything like that, my heart goes out to those kids because not only did that baby got hospitalized, but like you don't know how much damage.
Yeah, long term.
Long term that has done, and it didn't say like why she did it. Basically, because she didn't want to take care of it. I think
with their drugs involved,
probably.
Because usually, I'm sure there's just women that are perfectly fine that just abuse their children, but like. Usually, if they're neglecting a newborn, that's usually some type of drug related.
Yeah. So
now I'm sure somebody's gonna be like, "Well, I know a person that was perfectly fine and they was not good to their children." I'm sure there are scenarios out there, but I'm assuming this one would be that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, on this story, it was saying that like I think the baby went to hospitalized, but like her throat and stuff, like she wasn't like fed. She was laying in her own feces and like just. Terrible situation.
I feel like if you're in your right mind, because there's women that are in bad situations, they're on drugs or whatever, and they either a lot of them will give their kids up on adoption or put them in foster care, or they take them to a family member, like grandmother or mom, which would be their mom, the kid's grandmother. Like even though they're not in the right state, they still love their kid enough to say, I can't raise my kid right. I'm going to drop him off to somebody else. And a lot of people look at that like, oh, you're such a bad mom, but that's still better than
just
neglecting your child. So.
But anyway, that's sad. That was one of the ones that I was reading that really, my heart was just like.
And that's local. Yeah. We have, in our local area, we do have a drug problem. Yeah. Like a big drug problem.
Yeah.
A big one.
Very bad. On our local news, there's another story about a murder actually happening around here.
It's in our county.
Yeah, which is crazy to me because I know you think that a little
my brother lives there.
Oh, really?
In that county.
Like you think
or
like
in
a little
that community,
town, like you think a little town or a little community that does hardly ever things happen, but things happen that you don't know.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell like kind of what happened there.
So I think what my husband was telling me about was there's a girl involved, and there was 2 guys that.
Was it like a love triangle?
I'm assuming, but I don't know because both of the guys that were like arrested were brothers. So I don't know if it was like
maybe they murdered the girl.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So I'm not sure like how it all went down, who was dating who. I don't know how it went down, but apparently they were brothers, and right now one of them has been acquitted, which is crazy to me because if I feel like one would turn against each other if the other one
brothers maybe not.
But then I'm like, they're brothers, so I don't know how all that went through. My husband was just telling me that it was just kind of like, I guess in a way a love triangle thing, but they're not saying who actually did it. They don't have much evidence for one of them, so that one.
Then the other brother didn't say anything.
And the other brother didn't say anything, so they have evidence for one, but not the other one. So I don't know.
I don't know. This is my speculation if I'm telling the story. I feel like one probably did it, the other one helped clean up. So the one that probably had the less evidence against him was the one that helped clean up, and the other brother's just not saying nothing.
Yeah,
that'd be my gun. No, I have no idea. I'll have to go read it. That sounds more logical than anything. Like if his brother actually didn't do it, he probably wouldn't say it. But if his brother did it and he helped clean up, he'd probably be more likely to squeal. And if the other one just kept his mouth shut.
It's just crazy that it's happening around us, like near us, close to us. Like it's just one of those things that I'm like, well, I better keep my children close, you know. But
well, actually, there's a whole book. I'm not gonna say our county's name. There's a whole book called Murders in Blank.
Oh wow.
Because we've had so many.
I know there was one my husband did tell me. It was around, and it was over there by a lake that we drive through.
Was it a young girl?
Yeah.
The girl's dad was a teacher at our high school. Like he still taught when me and Travis were there.
Oh wow! So like it was his daughter.
Mm-hmm. Okay. His teenage daughter was
found in that lake.
Yeah, she was like they was having like a party, like a small party or something. Like she was a cheerleader and she had some of her friends over, and she just ran to the gas station to rent a movie. And this is how I think it went. She went there to rent a movie, and while she was out of the vehicle, the man got into the back of her van.
Oh my!
And so when she drove away, he got out of the back, and so it was just her and him. And then he took her to the lake and murdered her.
Oh my! Goodness.
And the way they found her is like when he threw her off into the water, her foot got caught on the deck, and it was probably dark, so he didn't really notice it. So that's how they was able to find her. Because she. And I actually know the detective that arrested the man. Like he was the detective that found out. Like he had mud on his boots or something, and when they went to his house, his boots had the mud on them and everything too. So crazy.
Well, I mean, I know that one it's been a long time since it happened, but like when he told me that, I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, it happened here? Like it happened so close.
I'm going to get that book for you, and you're going to be terrified to live here anymore.
I'm gonna be like, I want to move. But anyway,
I don't want to be here any longer.
I know it happens, but it's just to hear that it's so close by, you know.
It's always like this.
Yeah. Scary. Anyway, but that's why we stay prayerful.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of like a little bit random, but still crime in our community. I was outside with my kids in my backyard, and I heard some like beating on a neighbor's door across the street, diagonal across the street from me, so I could like see them. It was the cops. A ton of cops beating on the door.
Goodness.
And so I just grabbed my kids and ran inside because I'm like, I don't know what he's doing, you know. Yeah. Anyways, long story short, the man across the street got arrested for having, or like being a drug dealer basically.
Oh my goodness.
And like my kids and I, so like it scared me a little bit because I'm like, what if that man come out shooting?
Yeah.
And like we were
outside. And
like we were like, if a stray bullet come through, it could have easily hit us. So
yeah, I mean, scary. Another story.
So that's why we'd like to live on a 90-acre farm.
Well, nobody's there with us. Another thing that happened to me actually was. Or one thing that happened to me probably a year or two ago, maybe, which I would have never in my life thought it would happen. But I live in a little place where like everybody around us were related to. But there was one guy I saw through my kitchen window that was coming out. And he had this he looked homeless. He had shaggy hair, I think it was like reddish hair, and he looked shaggy. Like it was just, I was like, what is he doing? Like where is, I was like, I've never seen, and I'm home most of the time, so like I kind of know my neighbors, and I've talked to all my neighbors, like I know who they are. I know, But anyway, this guy was out of the blue, very noticeable because they're wearing all this dirty rags and stuff. So I was looking, and I saw him walk by, and he was walking by my house, and all of a sudden, I look through my door window, and like I noticed he was coming in my yard. So like I locked everything. The girls were in the living room, and I have a huge window in my living room that you can see through, and I still had it open, didn't think to close it, but my kids were in the living room, and he was coming in my side door, and so like I went over there, I stood there, and seeing what he was doing, like I was thinking maybe he'll wreck my kids' toys or something, but he came to my door, knocked on my door, and I was terrified. I was like, oh my goodness, who is this man? Like, and me watching him, I'm like, I'm not answering this door.
Right,
and he like jiggled the door to see if it was opened.
Oh my goodness. Did you call the cops?
No, I didn't. I didn't call. I
would have already called him. I have called like non-emergency line 100 times.
Well, I didn't call it because I was like, our neighborhood gets surveillance quite a bit because the mayor lives over here, or the retired mayor lived over here, and when he was the mayor, it was like a constant watch. Like I had no reason to panic because they were always the cops, going around. But like this time, it was like he jiggled the door, and I was like, I was like, my door's locked. I'm good. I'm fine. But I stood there because if there was any chance, no, I don't.
I would have had my gun, and I would have called the police.
Actually, I'm not prepared. I don't know how to shoot one. I don't know how to do anything like that. But I was standing there because if he was coming to the door, I was going to slam that door back closed because I had my children here. So I stood there for a minute. He jiggled the door, and I panicked for a minute, but I stood there just waiting to see what he was going to do. And he walked away after a while, and I came back in the living room because my kids were in here, so I thought he was going to come and look at the window. So I came in here and was like midway closing my curtains, and I just saw him walk down the road, and like I've never seen him since. But then I would have called my neighbor. Text Amy. I was like, hey, there's a random guy out there.
So this has been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I was like, there's a random guy out there. Just be careful. And she was like, does he have dirty rags and like reddish hair? I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, he came to my door too. I was like, oh my goodness.
She didn't answer either.
And yeah, she said she didn't answer. She said her doors were locked. She said she was just
Did she call?
Huh?
Did she call?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if she called or not, but like.
Guys, if he showed up my door and I wasn't paying attention.
But my husband told me, he said, now this is the number, like when I told him this, he was like, this is the number to when you need to dial for police officers to go around and watch your neighborhood. So I have kept that on my phone.
I think that would have called for 911.
Oh, really?
I would have, because it's like immediate, like, hey, I think someone's trying to break into my house. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
But I have called the non-emergency line before too.
See, I when I panic, I freeze. I'm one to like.
Do not be my neighbor. If you do anything weird, I will call and tell them. If I see something strange, I have no problem calling people and saying, hey, just so y'all know.
Yeah. No, that's one thing that happened. That's what's crazy. Yeah. That's the only thing that's happened.
You didn't call.
I know. I mean, I'm telling you, I froze.
Was you listening to a lot of true crime at the time?
A little bit. The Crime Junkie.
I feel like now you would have done it.
But like now, I would have been like 911.
Yeah, I feel like now that you're a seasoned true crime listener, you would have called immediately.
For sure.
Wow.
But I mean, I still see the police officers coming around our house and just
like they do, because we're in town, so they come down my road all the time too. But still, if something's happening, I'm still gonna call them.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, that's one story that you guys. Woo! Yeah, it was crazy. It's crazy things that happen around here. But anyway,
this is all that we have time for today. So we're actually gonna have a part 2 of this. So
you guys stay tuned and for part 2 and like and subscribe, and
we'll see you next time.
Bye.